The Senate will come to order. I ask everyone present to please rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In the absence of clergy, let us bow our heads in a moment of silent reflection or prayer. Reading of the journal.
In Senate, Sunday, January 17, 2021, the Senate met pursuant to adjournment. The journal of Saturday, January 16, 2021 was read and approved. On motion, Senate adjourned.
Without objection, the journal stands approved as read. Presentation of petitions, messages from the Assembly, messages from the Governor, reports of standing committees, reports of select committees, communications and reports from state officers, motions and resolutions. Senator Janaris.
Mr. President, let me begin, as we have been, by congratulating the Buffalo Bills on another victory this week. Now they need two more to go before the season ends. Can you please call an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332?
There'll be an immediate meeting of the Rules Committee in room 332.
The Senate will stand at ease.
The Senate will stand at ease. The Senate will return to order. Senator Janaris.
Is there a report of the Rules Committee at the desk?
There's a report of the Rules Committee at the desk. The Secretary will read.
Senator Stuart Cousins from the Committee on Rules reports the following bills. Senate Print 18A by Senator Mayer, an act to amend the labor law. Senate Print 471A by Senator Kaplan, an act establishing the COVID Emergency Protect Our Small Business Act of 2021. Senate Print 1042A by Senator Ramos, an act to amend the labor law. Senate Print 1184 by Senator Janaris, an act to amend the criminal procedure law and the civil practice law and rules. Senate Print 1197 by Senator Prasad, an act to amend the labor law. Senate Print 1295 by Senator Gurnardis, an act to amend the labor law. Senate Print 1296 by Senator Benjamin, an act requiring the Department of Health of the state of New York to conduct a review of the effects of racial and ethnic disparities. Senate Print 1297 by Senator Reichlin Melnick, an act to amend Chapter 598 of the laws of 1938. Senate Print 1298 by Senator Savino, an act to amend the workers' compensation law. Senate Print 1299 by Senator Sanders, an act to amend the labor law. Senate Print 1300 by Senator Prasad, an act to amend a chapter of the laws of 2020. Senate Print 1301 by Senator Brook, an act to direct the Commissioner of Mental Health to create a work group. Senate Print 1302 by Senator Ramos, an act to amend the labor law. Senate Print 1303 by Senator Salazar, an act to amend the public health law. Senate Print 1304 by Senator Gurnardis, an act to amend the public authorities law. Senate Print 1305 by Senator Henchy, an act in relation to directing the Commissioner of Agriculture and Markets to work the state's land grant university system. Senate Print 1306 by Senator Kennedy, an act to amend a chapter of the laws of 2020. Senate Print 1307 by Senator Palumbo, an act to amend the insurance law. Senate Print 1308 by Senator Cooney, an act to amend the general municipal law. Senate Print 1309 by Senator Breslin, an act to amend the real property tax law. Senate Print 1310 by Senator Breslin, an act to amend the election law. Senate Print 1554B by Senator Kavanaugh, an act to amend the general business law. Senate Print 1630A by Senator Savino, an act to amend the general business law. All bills report direct to third reading.
Move to accept the report of the Rules Committee?
All in favor of accepting the report of the Rules Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The report is accepted and before the House.
Please take up the reading of the calendar.
The Secretary will read.
Calendar number 15, Senate Print 862 by Senator Gorin, an act to amend a chapter of the laws of 2020.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect on the same date and in the same manner as a chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janaris Kruger or Stuart Cousins White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 15, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar and Amera, ayes 61, nays 2.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 16, Senate Print 863 by Senator Gorin, an act to amend a chapter of the laws of 2020.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janaris Kruger or Stuart Cousins White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 16, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar and O'Mara. Ayes 61, nays 2.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 19, Senate Print 866 by Senator Brooks, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 22, Senate Print 869 by Senator Hoylman, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 22, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Boyle, Gallivan, Griffo, Ort, and Sereno. Ayes 58, nays 5.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 23, Senate Print 870 by Senator Felder, an act to amend the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 29, Senate Print 876 by Senator Comrie, an act to amend a chapter of the laws of 2020.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 29, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Griffo, and Ort. Ayes 60, nays 3.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 34, Senate Print 881 by Senator Brooks, an act to amend the executive law. Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 34, voted in the negative, Senator Boyle. Ayes 62, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 37, Senate Print 884 by Senator Grenardez, an act to amend the real property law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 37, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Borrello, Gallivan, Jordan, O'Mara, Palumbo, Rath, and Steck. Ayes 56, nays 7.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 42, Senate Print 889 by Senator Kaplan, an act to amend the economic development law.
Laid aside.
Calendar number 51, Senate Print 898 by Senator Thomas, an act to amend the financial services law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar number 51, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Borrello, Boyle, Gallivan, Griffo, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Oberacker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Rath, Ritchie, Sereno, Skoufis, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 43, nays 20.
The bill is passed. Senator Janoris, that completes the reading of today's calendar. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 59, Senate Print 18A by Senator Mayer, an act to amend the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger. Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Mayer to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to explain my vote on S18A, the bill to require the State Department of Labor to enhance outreach and greatly expand participation in the state's shared work program. This program gives thousands of New Yorkers the ability to continue to work at reduced hours and still receive unemployment insurance while providing New York employers the ability to save money by reducing payroll costs without losing valued employees. In the face of COVID, shared work should be a key tool in the labor toolbox, and yet it is dramatically underutilized. Currently in New York State, only about 3,000 plus employers use this program. In 1985, New York State adopted its first work-sharing legislation following authorization by Congress. In addition, as a point of personal privilege, the bill signed by then Governor Mario Cuomo was based in part on the strong advocacy of my husband, Lee Smith, then General Counsel to the State Labor Department. He knew the history of the idea of shared work, first pioneered by Harry Van Arsdale, then president of Local 3 of the IBEW, through their system of periodic furloughs. They showed that partial pay and partial unemployment kept people in that employer's workforce and retained access to workplace benefits. It was a brilliant idea then, and it has worked extremely well for Local 3 over the years. However, nationally, according to the National Governors Association, in 2020, while almost 70% of America's workforce has access to some type of work-sharing benefit, during the first months of the COVID pandemic, only about 0.78% of all UI claimants were using it. President-elect Biden has called for significant enhancement of this program, and we hope that happens. Personally, I'm grateful to have worked with Commissioner Reardon to conduct such outreach sessions this fall in Westchester cooperatively with the Westchester County Association. This bill would require that kind of effort to be replicated statewide in the face of such dramatic economic loss in all of our communities. This is a necessary step to protect employees while allowing employers to reduce costs. I vote aye and encourage my colleagues to do the same. This is the kind of smart, progressive legislation this body should support. Thank you, Mr. President.
Recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 60, Senate Print 471A by Senator Kaplan, an act establishing the COVID Emergency Protect Our Small Business Act of 2021.
Laid aside.
Calendar number 61, Senate Print 1042A by Senator Ramos, an act to amend the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the 30th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger. Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Mayer to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise to express my strong support and thank Senator Ramos and our leader, Senator Andre Stewart Cousins, for bringing this bill to the floor. Like many of my colleagues, I have thousands of constituents who work 2 part-time jobs in order to make ends meet and, frankly, to afford the cost of housing in the suburbs of New York City. For many of them, they have been laid off by one job and retained the other, but the other was a 5-day-a-week job, and that in and of itself disqualified them from unemployment. That does not make sense, it is not fair, and it really hurt the constituents of my district, and I suspect of so many others. This bill is a strong step in the right direction. We need to continue to expand unemployment insurance during this time of great stress, and this is a long overdue change. I commend Senator Ramos and the Majority Leader. Thank you for bringing this bill to the floor. I vote aye.
Senator Mayer to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 61, vote in the negative, Senator Rath. Ayes 62, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
In the chamber to explain our vote.
I'm
Senator-
getting used to my new bearings here.
No problem. Senator Ramos to explain her vote.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I want to start by thanking our super duper majority leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins. I'm so proud to be passing this bill today at a time when New Yorkers need a helping hand the most. I think in lieu of the governor raising taxes on the wealthy as soon as he should, we are finally allowing approximately 500,000 part-time workers in New York State to be able to access unemployment benefits in a way that they haven't been able to before. It's unfortunate that our system has long been antiquated and has denied New Yorkers a disproportionate portion of their hard-earned hours of work. And so we're correcting this wrong today, and I'm looking forward to having a much more robust partial unemployment insurance system that will help many, many more New Yorkers and significantly contribute to our economy in that way. So thank you, Mr. President, and I, of course, want to thank our Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart Cousins, for her support as well.
Senator Ramos to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 62, nays 1. Calendar number 62, Senate Print 1197 by Senator Fassad, an act to amend the labor law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act will take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Borrello to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I can tell you that there are businesses across New York State that are breathing a tremendous sigh of relief. Many other states before us have passed an unemployment insurance experience rating, hold harmless, which is what this bill will do. I'd like to thank the sponsor. And also, this is something that myself and Senator Helming had introduced, I believe, back in April. That's why I said businesses are waiting on pins and needles. This is perhaps the #1 issue I have heard across the board for business owners in our state. The fact that when this pandemic hit, many of them were forced to close. And those people had to collect unemployment insurance, obviously. But then we had the unintended consequence of the enhanced benefit from the federal government, which made things far worse for our business owners. I can tell you, speaking from personal experience as a business owner in New York State, my wife watched the pile of unemployment claims on her desk pile up as she struggled to hire people to work in our businesses. So it was really an unfair, unintended consequence. As a result, NFIB and other organizations that represent small businesses has said that the likely result of this would be unemployment insurance rates doubling, on average, doubling for our businesses here in New York State. This would have been a death knell for our small businesses that are already hanging on by a thread. So this is a start, a great start, to provide long overdue assistance for our small businesses. So, Mr. President, I'm glad to have this bill, glad that it is passing this House, and once again, I'd like to thank the sponsor, and hopefully we'll have more bills like this come through this chamber. Thank you.
Senator Borrello to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
Ayes 63.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 63, Senate Print 1554B by Senator Kavanaugh, an act to amend the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Kavanaugh to explain his vote.
I just rise briefly to, note that the step that we're taking today, many of our in most of our communities throughout the state, our restaurants are struggling. They're struggling because, of course, a lot of their normal business has not been permitted during COVID-19, and that is necessary and appropriate as a public health measure. But at the same time, as in many areas, COVID has exposed underlying conditions that have been problematic for a long time. One of them is that increasingly online delivery services, which have become an essential part of the industry, that permit people to go on an online application and order food, increasingly have been charging our restaurants exorbitant fees for their services, fees that cannot be avoided, and fees that often exceed just the necessary fee in order to deliver food. So this bill sets a cap on that. It does it for the duration of the COVID emergency plus a period subsequent to that. I will say today that we're doing it during the COVID-19 emergency. I will be looking to revisit that when this emergency expires, because we've had legislation on this topic for a while. We have gotten some concern from people in the industry about this, and we will be considering those. But it's a very big step that we're taking today to protect our restaurants, to ensure that they can function and that they can do business and that they're not unduly burdened by these delivery services. I vote aye. Thank you.
Senator Kavanaugh, to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 63, voted in the negative, Senator Akshar, ayes 62, nays 1.
The bill is passed.
Calendar number 64, Senate Print 1630A by Senator Savino, an act to amend the general business law.
Read the last section.
Section 2, this act shall take effect on the 60th day after it shall become a law.
Call the roll.
Adabo, Gianaris, Kruger, or Stewart Cousins, White.
Senator Savino to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good to see you up there.
Good to see you too.
So, I know we just heard from Senator Kavanaugh on his bill that spoke about third-party delivery apps. I actually voted no on that bill. I have some proposed changes to that bill that I hope to see come to this floor, and I'll be able to vote for it in the future. But third-party delivery apps have been an integral part of allowing restaurants who have been inordinately affected during this pandemic be able to operate. But one of the things we have seen is that sometimes there is some ambiguity in the relationship that exists between third-party delivery apps and the very restaurants that have become dependent upon them. And one of the things that we have found is that third-party delivery apps were listing restaurants on their sites without the approval or the written consent of those restaurants. And that put them in a position where they did not know who was delivering for them, who was controlling their image, who was promoting them, who was marketing them, and that had put them at a competitive disadvantage and sometimes put them in a position where their customers were receiving products that might have been contaminated, that were not properly transported, and they had no control over that. So this legislation would simply require that a third-party delivery app, before it can transport products from a merchant, particularly restaurants, to a consumer, must have a written authorization between that entity in order to do business with them. Very simple. You should know who's coming into your restaurant to pick up your product to deliver to your customer. It should be clear, it should be in simple language, and you should have that relationship ahead of time. And that is what this bill is about. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Savino to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 64, voted in the negative, Senator Martucci, ayes 62, nays 1.
The bill is passed. Senator Gianaris, that completes the reading of the supplemental calendar.
And we now take up the reading of the controversial calendar, please.
The secretary will ring the bell. The secretary will read.
Calendar number 42, Senate Print 889 by Senator Kaplan, an act to amend the economic development law.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Mr. President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator Gallivan to be heard.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
Mr. President, accordingly, I appeal the chair's ruling and ask that Senator Gallivan be recognized and heard.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senator Gallivan may be heard.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appeal the ruling of the chair. The proposed amendment is germane to the bill at hand because it deals with small businesses at a time when they are facing unprecedented challenges, and this amendment would restore checks and balances in the state's handling of the coronavirus pandemic. For 322 days, the governor has had unilateral control of the coronavirus response. His policies have resulted in thousands of layoffs, business closures, and irreparable harm to many industries of the state, one in particular, the food service and restaurant industry, which has faced unique and devastating challenges. On March 16, 2020, the governor announced the prohibition on indoor dining and gave restaurants and bars only 2 days to evolve their businesses into takeout and delivery only. While able to continue accepting patrons through takeout and delivery services, restaurants and bars were forced to lay off dedicated staff, and many even closed their doors for good. Finally, in mid-June, restaurants around the state began reopening in Phase 3, subject to reopening guidance. On July 16th, the governor instituted the 3 strikes policy, establishing fines and threats of closure on restaurants and bars, along with instituting policies that prohibited establishments from solely serving alcohol to patrons. This struggle continued until October, when the governor once again moved the goalpost and announced a new microcluster strategy, which established yellow, orange, and red zones, each with varying metrics. On November 6, 2020, parts of Erie County met the state's metrics to classify as a yellow zone, which permitted indoor and outdoor dining, but limited table capacity to 4 individuals, and required bars and restaurants to close at 10 p.m. for on-premise consumption. By November 18th, the majority of Erie County was designated as an orange zone, which prohibited indoor dining. It didn't end there. On December 10th, the governor announced yet another new metric to determine microcluster focus zones, having to do with hospital capacity. For orange zone qualification, this required a region had to reach 85% hospital capacity. And then on December 11th, the governor provided what he called, quote, probably the most informative data, end quote, showing only 1.43% of cases are traceable to restaurants and bars. 1.43%. This justifiably created chaos and confusion, since no part of Erie County had reached the new metric, yet indoor dining remained shut down. This questionable science and data-driven policy undoubtedly raised not only questions but also tensions. More than 90 restaurants and bars challenged the orange zone dining restrictions, and on January 13th, 2021, just last week, an Erie County court found that in maintaining much of Erie County in an orange zone for well over 2 months, the Department of Health was not relying on the established metrics, and inconsistent designations were utilized statewide. Most importantly, the court could not find evidence that the state had a rational basis for the orange zone designation in Erie County, and that bars and restaurants in the area suffered irreparable harm and thousands of layoffs, loss of income and revenue, potential foreclosure, and hardship upon all Erie County residents. The court permitted those involved in the lawsuit the ability to operate under yellow zone restrictions pursuant to established COVID-19 interim guidance. The court's recognition of the arbitrary nature of this style of management throughout the pandemic only amplifies the justification to rescind the extraordinary powers the governor continues to yield. In the wake of this ruling, the governor's own counsel announced all bars and restaurants located within orange zones could now operate under the rules governing yellow zones. The executive's walking back of his own policies is in and of itself an acknowledgement of the arbitrariness in this decision-making, and just further confirmation that it is time that the legislature acts to restore balance in our state government by rescinding the unilateral authority granted to the governor and fulfill its constitutional obligation. For these reasons, Mr. President, I ask that you reconsider and rule this amendment germane.
Thank you, Senator Gallivan. I want to remind the House of the voters on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
Once again, to waive the showing of hands and record each member of the minority in the affirmative.
Without objection, so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 20.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing, Senator Jordan.
Hi, thank you, Mr. President. Will the sponsor yield for questioning?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr. President.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you. What is the difference between this bill and Senate Bill 7350, which was the underlying bill chaptered as 339 of the laws of 2020?
Through you, Mr. President, this bill ensures the agencies will provide the information
to the Department of Economic Development and includes more specifically related to information about employment level requirements and ownership requirements. The technical change is made to move this mandate from the executive law to economic development law. Remove the limitation as to 50 or fewer. And finally, the amendment directs agencies to provide the information by July 1st, 2021, to give departments more time to comply, and the original date was 180 days after effective date.
Will the sponsor yield for another
Does
question?
the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr.
The
President.
sponsor yields.
It is my understanding that in this bill, the requirement for the Empire State Development Corporation to publish this information was now removed. Is that correct?
Is supposed to, through you, Mr. President, ESD is supposed to put this information out on their website.
Will the sponsor yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Based on- Yes.
Sponsor
Mr.
yields.
President.
So Empire Development Corporation is still going to publish the listing of the businesses?
The agencies are going to share their information with Empire Development Agency, and they're going to post it on their website.
Thank you, Senator Kaplan. On the bill?
Senator Jordan on the bill.
While I voted yes on the original bill, I'll be a no vote today because this chapter amendment completely undercuts the purpose of the original bill by no longer requiring that this list of available programs to assist small businesses to be published by the Empire State Development Corporation. It seems that during a pandemic where many small businesses are struggling, we shouldn't be rolling back provisions of law designed to help the small businesses. Thank you.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 3, this act shall take effect on the same date and in the same manner as the chapter of the laws of 2020.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris Kruger, Ort, Stewart Cousins, White.
Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 42, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Akshar, Rello, Gallivan, Jordan, Lanza, Obelracker, O'Mara, Ort, Rath, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 51, nays 12.
The bill is passed. Secretary will read.
Calendar number 60, Senate Print 471A by Senator Kaplan, an act establishing the COVID-19 Emergency Protect Our Small Business Act of 2021.
Senator Lanza, why do you rise?
Mr. President, I believe there's an amendment at the desk. I waive the reading of that amendment and ask that you recognize Senator Helming to be heard.
Thank you, Senator Lanza. Upon review of the amendment in accordance with Rule 6, Section 4B, I rule it non-germane and out of order at this time.
The chair's ruling and ask that Senator Helming be recognized.
The appeal has been made and recognized, and Senator Helming may be heard.
Thank you, Mr. President. On the germaneness of this bill, Mr. President, this amendment is germane because both of these bills apply to small businesses. Even before the pandemic, New York had one of the worst business climates in the country, which made it difficult for our small businesses to thrive. Pair that with the devastating effects of the pandemic, many of these businesses, as we all know, are facing a horrible threat. One step that this chamber should take immediately is to cut taxes on small businesses to give them a better chance of surviving this pandemic. For this reason, Mr. President, I ask that you reconsider your determination.
Thank you, Senator Helming. I want to remind the House that the vote is on the procedures of the House and the ruling of the chair. Those in favor of overruling the chair signify by saying aye.
Once again, Mr. President, we've agreed to waive the showing of hands and record each member of the minority in the affirmative.
Without objection, so ordered. Announce the results.
Ayes 20.
The ruling of the chair stands and the bill in chief is before the House. Senator Helming.
Mr. President, will the sponsor please yield to questions?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr.
The
President.
sponsor yields.
Through you, Mr. President, Senator Kaplan, thank you for yielding to questions. I have just a couple of them. During the past year, there were several hearings, public hearings that were held, roundtables, et cetera, where businesses from across the state of New York were invited to share their concerns, to talk about what they were experiencing during the pandemic. I know, Senator Kaplan, you hosted several of those events. I attended them. They were fantastic. And the feedback that we had from so many small businesses during those roundtables and hearings was they were looking for primarily two things from their state legislators. One, they were looking for us to be stronger advocates at the federal level for additional federal funding. And two, they were looking for some sort of relief from unemployment insurance. They wanted to be held harmless for things they weren't responsible for during the pandemic. So those two issues were identified. Senator Kaplan, what I'm wondering is, I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of small businesses since those hearings, and while drafting this bill, considering their input, what types of needs were identified by the small businesses?
Mr. President, I really am very appreciative to hear Senator Helming say that we all need to be all in one voice asking our federal government to help us and help our small businesses because of the pandemic and what they're going through. With that said, yes, we all know that the small businesses are hurting right now due to the pandemic. And this bill seeks to hit the pause button on eviction and foreclosure proceedings on small businesses through May 1st, 2021, and also offers protections for small landlords of commercial properties, again, through May 1st, 2021. Part A of this bill creates a commercial eviction moratorium for small businesses of 50 or fewer employees and creates a standardized hardship declaration form to be used by tenants and landlords in order to take advantage of the protection offered by this legislation. Part B of this bill creates a moratorium on commercial foreclosures of small businesses of 50 or fewer employees that have 10 or fewer properties that they are renting. In addition, Part B also provides tax lien protection and negative credit reporting protection for the same small business property owners. I'd like to also point out this has been a collaborative piece of legislation that has taken into account many suggestions from different stakeholders and has earned the support of the National Federation of Independent Business in New York. And with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr.
The
President.
sponsor yields.
So I heard an explanation of the bill, a summary of the bill, if you will, but not a specific answer to the question on what specific needs were identified in the small businesses you spoke with. When I'm speaking with businesses, they're looking for long-term assistance from this body. They are struggling. You drive around Albany, you drive in New York City, you drive anywhere in the state, and you see our business districts are suffering. Businesses are closing down. Yelp did a national study last year. The conclusion was that between April and September, roughly 160,000 businesses closed their doors. That averages out to about, more than 800 closures a day. Then there's the data from the University of California that the number of closures could be even higher. With the university's data, that bumps that figure up to nearly 317,000 businesses that have closed between February and September of 2020. That bumps the daily average up to 15,000 closures. So, Senator Kaplan, I guess my question is, when we think about this bill and the short-term impact of it, that it kicks the can down the road until May, can you tell me how many businesses are going to be able to reopen or stay open because of this bill?
Mr. President, we've learned that we can't really count on federal government based on what we've seen in this past year. We know our small businesses are hurting. We are really hoping that we will get another set of loans or grants from the federal government with the new administration. But the fact is, the small businesses need our help right now. This legislation is basically a way for us to help these small businesses and create an easier and earlier mechanism for these small businesses to survive and not to fail, giving them an opportunity of breathing time until May 1st. And hopefully by then, we will get more funding from the federal government that would be very helpful with our small businesses.
Will the sponsor continue to yield?
The sponsor yields.
Yes, Mr. President.
So according to a New York Times article that I read, they said that 1/3 of all New York State small businesses may be gone, just lost forever. Owners have said they've exhausted the funding that's come through federal agencies and local assistance. And Senator Kaplan, I know you're probably aware that New York City has a commercial lease assistance program. This program helps businesses with issues such as signing a new lease, amending, renewing, or terminating a lease. Did you look into programs that are currently operating successfully in New York and consider applying them statewide before introducing this bill?
Mr. President, again, what this bill basically does, it's put a pause to let a small business to get their footing. I'm more than happy to also discuss with my colleagues and come up with more ways that we can help our small businesses. Our small businesses are the backbone of our communities and our state, and they're really important for our economy, and we want to do everything in our power. That's why we took this action and have this legislation to put everything in pause and give them an opportunity to survive through these difficult times with the hope that they will get more funding, and we will get more funding through the federal government.
Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr.
The
President.
sponsor yields.
So over and over again, I hear about putting things on pause. The problem is that we can't pause COVID. We're trying, but we even fumbled on the rollout of the vaccine, and we have no bills here before us to even deal with that. But going back to New York State and hoping to receive additional federal dollars, we know that's going to happen. But Senator Kaplan, what I'd like to know, and I asked this question when the Tenant bill came up, is the state of New York did receive federal dollars. Where is that funding? In your opinion, is that funding being successfully utilized to support small businesses?
I say that there has been different programs, and I really encourage every small business to look into ESD and see what can be really applicable to their business, and also take advantage of all the federal grants and loans that have been available. Again, what this bill does, it's not saying stop paying rent. It is not saying stop paying your mortgage. It simply says if you are struggling, you get some time, a breathing room, to sort out your situation without looming of eviction or foreclosure.
Continue to yield.
Does the sponsor yield?
Senator Kaplan, the funding that New York
Does
State
the
has
sponsor
received
yield?
from...
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr. President.
Sponsor yields.
Thank you. Senator Kaplan, so the funding that the state has received from the federal government, in your opinion, has it been successfully utilized to support small businesses?
Mr. President, I think I answered the question.
Yes,
Will
for
the sponsor
to
continue
yield?
to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr.
Sponsor
President.
yields.
I did not hear a yes or no response to the question, how is the funding being successfully utilized to support small businesses? When we had a very similar bill on this floor and we were talking about residential evictions and pausing those, there was talk about $100 think it was $100 million that the state had received, and $60 million was still sitting there. So I guess, Senator Kaplan, I'll ask one more time. In your opinion, has New York State, have they handed out or have they supported small businesses by distributing the full amount of federal dollars that have been earmarked for the state for small businesses?
Mr. President, I know that there was money available. It is on ESD website. You have to qualify. I've urged every business that has had this conversation with us and with different chambers for them to go ahead and look and see if those funds would be applicable to them.
No. Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr.
The sponsor yields.
Senator Kaplan, so are you saying that right now small businesses can go to a certain website to apply for state funding assistance? There are dollars available for small businesses through the state for the pandemic specifically?
Through you, Mr. President, I believe I've answered this. That's not really what this bill is dealing with. If Senator Helming has a question about the bill, I'm more than happy to answer those questions.
Through you, Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr. President.
The sponsor yields.
So, Senator Kaplan, again, I've heard how this bill pauses, and it may be able to help some small businesses by buying them some time before their rent is due again. But again, when I ask the question, how many businesses could be helped, or what type of specific assistance businesses are looking for, or even if the funding that we've already received from the federal government has been appropriately rolled out to small businesses, I haven't really gotten an answer, which leads me to this question. Will the legislature need to revisit this bill again after May 2nd when the moratorium expires?
Mr. President, this legislation just deals with the moratorium going until May 1st, 2021. I also would really like to point out, Senator Helming authored an article called "Let's Do the Work We Were Elected to Do." And that was the premise for this bill. That's why when I heard from a lot of my constituents that they tried speaking with their landlords, although a lot of landlords really tried to make and work with their tenants because they understood they were going through a difficult time, some landlords decided not to do that. And they want their rent, and they want it in whole, and they want it on time. What we are trying to do with this bill is to give a little relief to those small businesses that are in the brink of failing, to put a pause so that they could still go ahead for the next few months, hopefully with them getting more assistance from federal government.
Mr. President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr.
The
President.
sponsor yields.
So the amendment that I have on the floor right now on behalf of the Republican conference, it's a bipartisan bill, has bipartisan support. In fact, Senator Kaplan is a sponsor of the hostile amendment today. Senator Kaplan, when it comes to helping small business making ends meet, have you considered more direct assistance that would benefit the majority of small businesses, such as a tax holiday or a period of tax forgiveness?
Mr. President, again, I'm going to go back. We are here on this bill. I'm more than happy to discuss other bills with Senator Helming and try to really do whatever we can so that this body can voice and be an advocate for small businesses. But right now, we're dealing with this bill, and I'm happy to answer questions with regard to this bill.
President, will the sponsor continue to yield?
Does the sponsor yield?
Yes, Mr.
The
President.
sponsor yields.
Thank you, Senator Kaplan. So question, if a tenant were to provide an attestation of hardship to a commercial property owner and then close the business or vacate the property, can the property owner begin the eviction process prior to May 1st?
Senator Helming, can you please repeat your question again?
Mr. President, If a tenant were to fill out the hardship application for a commercial property owner and then closes his or her business or vacates the property, can the property owner begin the eviction process prior to May 1st?
So if the tenant leaves the property of their own free will, there's no need for the eviction proceeding to go ahead.
On the bill.
Senator Helming on the bill.
Regarding the last comment, if a tenant walks without paying their rent, there is an issue. But on the bill, the amended bipartisan legislation I brought forward on behalf of the Republican conference would provide real, and I stress real, meaningful tax relief for struggling businesses.
Mr. President.
This is a goal we all share.
Senator Janaris.
We have taken up the hostile amendment and dispatched it. I've given a lot of leeway to Senator Helming to ask her questions, but she keeps harping on an amendment she proposed that has not been taken up by this House. So please keep your comments and questions germane to the bill on the floor.
President, I was done questioning. I was on the bill.
Senator Helming on the bill.
If there's one thing that Democrats and Republicans agree on, it's that small businesses are the backbone of our state's economy. As I said, my amendment had bipartisan support. Let's bring it to the floor for a vote and provide New Yorkers with real help and more assurance that their jobs will be there in the future. When the Senate passed S9114 last year, the deputy floor leader compared the tenant eviction moratorium legislation to sticking a finger in a dike. And I completely agreed with him at that time, and I would go one step further now and say, like our tenants, our businesses need something more than a temporary fix. The amendment provides real relief and long-term certainty for small businesses and the hundreds of thousands of employers who work for them. People who wake up every morning wondering if they will have a job. Small businesses are built on personal inspiration and a lot of hard work, sweat equity, and tears. Many people sink their life savings into their dreams. New York has always been there to encourage their entrepreneurial spirit. It was that spirit that built this state. During the pandemic, the federal government stepped up and provided PPP and other programs to help businesses. The City of New York and many of our regional banks have started programs to assist employers devastated by COVID. A number of counties across the state have even used their federal CARES Act to provide funding to assist businesses. Yet where's New York State? Late last year in a very similar floor debate, we were told that help is coming. Yet the concerns of small businesses have yet to be addressed. Their concerns have taken a back seat to virtually every other concern throughout the start of this legislative session. Mr. President, I offer that we must do better and we can do better. I urge my colleagues to vote for the amendment on the floor, and I urge the sponsor to take a more holistic approach to helping our businesses and reinvigorating our state. Thank you, Mr. President.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Senator Lanza.
Mr. President, unfortunately, I'm going to be voting in the negative on this piece of legislation. I think the sponsor's intentions are meritorious.
Senator Lanza, are you on the bill?
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, on the bill, Mr. President.
Senator Lanza on the bill.
Yes. I think the sponsor's intentions here are meritorious, and I understand what she's trying to do. But I'm with Senator Helming, who is harping on what we in the Republican conference have been harping on over the last 9 months, which is that the irrational, arbitrary, capricious policies and edicts being handed down by this state are not only not helping the people of the state of New York, as we find ourselves at the top of the list worldwide in terms of the death rate from the COVID pandemic, but are actually destroying families and small businesses from one end of the state to the other. And what we continue to harp on is that these small businesses need real relief. This may offer some small measure of relief, granted, I agree, but in many cases, this may end up having small businesses find themselves in an even deeper hole come May, June, and July. Because it really does, to use the expression again, kick the can down the road. What businesses need is real relief. They need funding. They need grants. And most of all, Mr. President, they need to be allowed to do what they want to do, which is go back to work, to provide for themselves and for their employees, to do what they set out to do, to live the American dream, to do nothing more than work, to have their businesses open. That's what we need, and we need to find a way to do it rationally and safely. But we need to do that, Mr. President. We're going to keep harping on that here on this side of the aisle, and I know my friends on the other side of the aisle want to see that happen as well. But I'm with Senator Helming with respect to this legislation. It doesn't go nearly far enough in terms of helping and delivering real relief to the small businesses across the state of New York. When it comes time for a vote, Mr. President, I'll be in the negative.
Are there any other senators wishing to be heard? Seeing and hearing none, debate is closed. The secretary will ring the bell. Read the last section.
Section 5, this action take effect immediately.
Call the roll.
Addabbo, Janoris, Kruger, or Stewart-Cousins, White.
Senator Kaplan to explain her vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. First and foremost, I want to thank Chantel Smith, Eric Katz, Nick Rangel, Ken and Kurt, Jaleesa Joseph, Adriel Douglas, and many members of the Senate Central staff who worked with me in making this legislation the best that it can be. Our small businesses have been hit hard by this pandemic, and they need our help if they're going to survive these challenging times. And as Senator Lanza said, this is a relief for a few months so that they can get back on their feet. As a chair of Commerce, Committee on Commerce, Economic Development, and Small Business, it believes in my solemn duty to look at the New York small business and do everything I can to help support them through this pandemic. The COVID-19 Emergency Protect Our Small Business Act, which I'm proud to sponsor, will hit the pause button on eviction and foreclosure proceedings for small businesses that are struggling, giving them a shot at a survival and giving them the opportunity to get back on their feet without the looming threat of being closed down for good, just because they've fallen behind during the pandemic. This full package of legislation being passed by the Senate majority today will be a lifeline to New York's small business community. And I'm extremely grateful to our Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins, for making this issue a priority and bringing these bills to the floor today to help save our small businesses. I vote aye, Mr. President.
Senator Kaplan to be recorded in the affirmative. Senator Janoris to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to congratulate Senator Kaplan for her tremendous effort in coming up with many of the bills we're passing today, and this one in particular, because I heard some of my Republican colleagues who can't accept that something is actually helpful for businesses in this state and want to support it. I should point out that this bill that they don't seem to like has the support of the Business Council of New York State, the Partnership of New York City, and NFIB. So if they have a concern that this is not something that helps small businesses, they should take it up with the entities that represent those businesses in this state, all of whom support this legislation and the package we're passing today. So I proudly cast my vote in the affirmative, and I thank Senator Kaplan for her good work.
Senator Janoris to be recorded in the affirmative. Announce the results.
In relation to calendar 60, those senators voted in the negative are Senators Morello, Boyle, Gallivan, Griffo, Helming, Jordan, Lanza, Martucci, Matera, Obelracker, O'Mara, Ort, Palumbo, Raff, Ritchie, Steck, Tedisco, and White. Ayes 45, nays 18.
The bill is passed. Senator Janoris, that completes the reading of the controversial calendar.
there any further business at the desk, Mr. President?
There's no further business at the desk.
In that case, I move to adjourn until tomorrow, which will be a great day in our nation, with the inauguration of a new president, taking us out of the dark days of the last 4 years. And in deference to that, we're going to adjourn until 10:30 a.m. tomorrow, a little bit earlier than usual, so that we can all enjoy the festivities after we adjourn our own session.
On motion, the Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, January 20th at 10:30 a.m.